North Korea, officially the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, stands as one of the most isolated and secretive nations on Earth. Ruled by the iron fist of the Kim dynasty for over 7 decades, the country operates under a totalitarian regime. This system exerts absolute control over every facet of life, from politics and economics to the daily routines of its citizens. This essay aims to offer a glimpse into the realities of daily life in North Korea, exploring the challenges, resilience, and faint glimmers of hope that persist beneath the surface. In North Korea, the government's ideology permeates every aspect of existence. Citizens are subject to constant surveillance, restricted movement, and limited access to information from the outside world. The government dictates employment, education, and even leisure activities, ensuring that loyalty to the regime remains paramount. This all-encompassing control shapes the very fabric of North Korean society, fostering a climate of fear and obedience. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea is a nation grappling with persistent economic hardship. Its citizens face an uphill battle against soaring food prices, a volatile currency exchange, and frequent power outages. The chasm between the privileged elite residing in the capital, Pyongyang, and those struggling to survive in the neglected countryside grows wider with each passing day. For ordinary North Koreans, affording basic necessities has become increasingly difficult. The national currency, the won, has experienced a sharp decline in value, leading to hyperinflation and skyrocketing prices for essential goods. State-controlled shops often have bare shelves, forcing people to turn to informal markets known as jangmadang for their daily needs. Even in these markets, prices are often inflated and beyond the reach of many. The government's tight grip on the economy has stifled growth and innovation. Centralized planning and a lack of investment in infrastructure have left many industries struggling. International sanctions, imposed in response to North Korea's nuclear weapons program, have further isolated the country economically, limiting its ability to trade and access essential resources. The healthcare system in North Korea is in a state of chronic crisis, plagued by shortages of medicine, equipment, and qualified medical professionals. This dire situation has left ordinary citizens vulnerable to preventable diseases, and with limited access to even basic medical care. Hospitals, particularly outside the relatively well-equipped capital, often lack basic necessities like electricity, running water, and essential medical supplies. Stories abound of patients bringing their own light bulbs for surgeries and families washing and reusing bandages due to scarcity. The shortage of medicine is so severe that bartering for drugs has become commonplace. The government's promises of universal health care have fallen far short of reality. The few clinics that do exist are often understaffed, under-equipped, and unable to meet the needs of the population. This dire situation has forced many North Koreans to rely on traditional remedies or to simply go without treatment altogether, putting their health and well-being at serious risk. In the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, state control extends far beyond the economic and healthcare spheres. It permeates the very fabric of society, dictating where people can live, work, and even what they can think. The government maintains an iron grip on information, restricts freedom of movement, and relies on an extensive network of informants to enforce obedience. From a young age, North Koreans are subjected to intensive ideological indoctrination. Schools emphasize loyalty to the Kim family and the Workers' Party of Korea, while state-controlled media relentlessly broadcast propaganda that glorifies the leadership and demonizes the outside world. This constant barrage of propaganda shapes perceptions and limits critical thinking. The government severely restricts access to foreign media, particularly from South Korea and the West. Possessing or distributing such materials is considered a serious crime, punishable by imprisonment or worse. This information blackout helps to maintain the regime's control by preventing alternative viewpoints from infiltrating society. Section 5. The long arm of the military. The military occupies a position of unusual prominence in North Korean society. It consumes a disproportionate share of the country's limited resources and wields considerable influence over both the economy and the government. The military's reach extends far beyond traditional defense duties, encompassing everything from construction and agriculture to foreign trade and diplomacy. North Korea maintains one of the largest standing armies in the world, with an estimated 1.2 million active personnel. Military service is mandatory for all able-bodied men and women, instilling a culture of militarism and obedience from a young age. The military's dominance is evident in the country's budget priorities, with defense spending consistently outpacing investments in healthcare, education, and other essential services. The military operates its own network of farms, factories, and businesses, generating revenue that often bypasses the civilian economy and flows directly to the regime. This economic clout provides the military with a significant degree of autonomy and reinforces its grip on power. International sanctions, while intended to pressure the regime, have had the unintended consequence of strengthening the military's role in the economy. Section 6. The Rhythm of Survival. Despite the challenges and hardships they face, the people of North Korea exhibit remarkable resilience and resourcefulness. They have learned to navigate the complexities of a tightly controlled society, finding ways to supplement meager state rations, access information, and eke out a living in the face of adversity. One of the most striking examples of North Korean resilience is the prevalence of informal markets, known as jangmadang. These markets, which emerged in the wake of the devastating famine of the 1990s, have become a vital lifeline for ordinary citizens. In these bustling marketplaces, people buy and sell everything from food and clothing to electronics and smuggled foreign goods. To cope with chronic food shortages, many North Koreans have turned to subsistence farming, cultivating small plots of land near their homes or on the outskirts of cities. These small-scale agricultural efforts, while not always sufficient, provide a crucial supplement to the meager rations provided by the state. Despite the government's relentless propaganda and efforts to control information, cracks have begun to appear in the wall of isolation. The proliferation of smuggled cell phones and DVDs from China has allowed some North Koreans, particularly those living near the border, to access foreign media and glimpse the outside world. Section 7. Seeds of Hope in Barren Fields. While life in North Korea remains undeniably difficult, there are glimmers of hope emerging from the shadows. The country's youth in particular seem to be embracing change, albeit cautiously. Exposure to outside information, however limited, has sparked a growing curiosity about the world beyond their borders. The expansion of informal markets has created new opportunities for entrepreneurship and self-reliance. While the government still exerts considerable control over the economy, the jangmadang have given rise to a nascent merchant class with a vested interest in economic reform. This budding entrepreneurial spirit could, in time, become a force for change. The government under Kim Jong-un has shown a willingness to experiment with limited economic reforms, albeit cautiously, and with mixed results. There has been a slight relaxation of restrictions on private enterprise, and some foreign investment has been permitted in special economic zones. While these reforms remain limited in scope, they suggest a recognition within the regime that change may be necessary for survival. Section 8. The Price of Silence. The world's understanding of daily life in North Korea is often fragmented and incomplete. The regime's tight control over information, coupled with the risks associated with speaking out, makes it exceedingly difficult to obtain accurate and unbiased accounts from within the country. The North Korean government maintains a tight grip on all forms of communication, both within the country and with the outside world. Citizens are subject to constant surveillance, and any criticism of the regime or its leaders is met with swift and severe punishment. This climate of fear discourages dissent and makes it nearly impossible for North Koreans to share their stories freely. Defectors who have risked their lives to escape North Korea provide invaluable insights into the realities of life under the regime. Their testimonies, often harrowing and deeply personal, paint a picture of a society grappling with oppression, poverty, and human rights abuses. However, these accounts should be approached with sensitivity and an awareness of the potential for bias. Section 9. A Future Uncertain. The future of North Korea remains shrouded in uncertainty. The country stands at a crossroads, facing both internal pressures for change and external pressures to abandon its nuclear ambitions and embrace reform. The path that North Korea chooses to take in the years ahead will have profound consequences for its people and for the region as a whole. The Kim regime faces a number of challenges, including a stagnant economy, chronic food shortages, and increasing international isolation. The country's pursuit of nuclear weapons, has come at a high cost, both in terms of economic sanctions and diplomatic relations. The government's ability to maintain its grip on power will depend in part on its willingness to address these challenges and adapt to changing circumstances. There is hope that North Korea will eventually embark on a path of reform and opening, leading to improved living conditions for its people and greater engagement with the international community. However, such a transformation will require significant internal changes, including a relaxation of state control, respect for human rights, and a commitment to economic development.